Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to your Lunch Break Live. My name is Ivana Horenku if you're new here, and if you're not, thank you for coming back. Today is Thursday, October the 20th, and today we're talking about something that affects all of Alabama and all of the country, and specifically North Alabama. I'm joined by our business reporter, William Thornton, and Bill is here today to talk about an announcement about a new manufacturing plant in North Alabama, specifically in Colbert County, and this is a plant, and I'm not even going to try to say this, Bill, because I'm going to mispronounce this ingredient name, but it is about a plant that's manufacturing materials needed for electric car batteries. That is something I can say, and I think a lot more people probably can relate to than the scientific name there. So tell me a little bit about this plant, about the plans for this plant. I know that Alabama and the county there, it will receive several $1,000,000, $117 million grant. The company gets that money to build this plant in North Alabama. Tell me a little bit about it. Tell me what we can expect for North Alabama and what this means for people who live in the area.
Okay, so just a little bit of background. When this announcement came down, it was part of a much larger announcement of about $2.8 billion that's going to 12 different states, 20 different companies, having to do with electric car batteries, electric vehicle batteries. And in there was this $117 million for a company called Innovion, which is based out of New York. Innovion has facilities in Niagara, New York, and in West Virginia. But the part for Alabama has to do with this manufacturing plant that is planned for Colbert County. Now, it hasn't even been announced yet, basically, so this was kind of a new thing. But basically what it is they would be making synthetic graphite. Hold on a second. Synthetic graphite anode technology or material, which would be used in lithium ion batteries. About 30% of a lithium ion battery is this material. So, and there hasn't been any kind of formal announcement of this, but the company said that they hope to begin construction next year, open 2025, basically end of the year perhaps. And no idea of how many jobs this would include, but the press release that came from the Department of Energy basically said hundreds of green jobs. Now, it's important to remember that $117 million isn't just for Alabama. It has to do with the company's overall operations. So some of that money may be going to their New York operations. Some of that may be going to West Virginia. But if you add up the company contribution, it's somewhere around the neighborhood of $400 million. So we're talking about a lot of money. This company was formed recently to basically begin the supply of the materials for these batteries. And the reason why the government was involved in terms of this grant is because America is trying to scale up its ability to make electric car batteries. A lot of the material actually is sourced out of China. And so the idea is that if we don't do this, it potentially poses a national security risk.
And that, again, that is a lot of money for this company and for this proposed plant here in North Alabama. Again, I know you said this is a this announcement came before really a formal announcement about the manufacturing plant. So I think this came as a surprise to a lot of people. But again, Alabama is one of just about a dozen states who are involved in this project. We also know that President Biden has set a goal for 2030 of all electric vehicles compromising about half of all new car sales. So in order to make that happen, this is a stepping stone there. As you said, most of these batteries right now are sourced from China. So these batteries being sourced in the US will be a big change there to the electric car game. Now, this is also not the first venture for Alabama into the electric car battery in the electric car realm in the first place either, Bill. So tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so about 5 years ago, 2017, Mercedes-Benz announced that they were going to scale up their electric vehicle operations in Alabama and begin making electric SUVs. And it took them that long to get the infrastructure in place. They had to they had to make changes at their plant, and then they invested about $1 billion in Alabama to make an electric battery plant in Bibb County, which is just adjacent to the Mercedes campus in Vance in Tuscaloosa County. They opened that electric battery plant in March, and then in uh, this late summer, early fall, they began manufacturing the first of their electric SUVs. Um, that's a significant thing because Mercedes, I believe, only has 3 battery plants in the world. One's in Germany and the other one's in China. There may be another one in there somewhere, but I can't remember where it is right now. And at the same time, there was an announcement earlier this year of a $200 million project to mine graphite, which is, as we said earlier, one of the components of the electric car battery, or electric vehicle, I should say. I keep saying car. But the point is that Alabama has a source. It can be a source for these batteries. And as we know, the automobile industry is really ramping up the EV sector. Mercedes, for example, has set its own goal that all of its vehicles will be electric by 2030 as the market allows. Now, what does that mean? It means that if demand is there, they will supply it. But again, there's a lot of places, America is one of them, where the infrastructure for charging electric vehicles has not yet caught up. And also because, let's be honest, we're dealing with a time when electric vehicle um, prices are extremely high. Prices of internal combustion engines are extremely high right now. We did a story today. The average car payment is somewhere around $750 a month for people. So there's a lot of stress on the market right now, very tight supply. So, there's going to have to be a lot of changes before the man on the street can actually afford an EV. But the idea is that when that market share catches up, Alabama will be ready. In fact, last month, Governor Ivey attended a conference in Birmingham on electric vehicles, and she said that Alabama needs to lean into this because there's potential for hundreds of jobs, a lot of investment. We're already beginning to see the beginnings of that.
Well, and there was something that you noted in the story. I was looking for the exact way that you worded it, but this company said that they specifically were looking at the Southeast and specifically Alabama for several reasons. And I wanted to know if you could kind of give us the highlights of that. Why are these companies, and specifically this New York-based company, bringing such a large project to North Alabama? Why North Alabama, and why Alabama in general?
Well, the first thing they needed was power, and specifically they mentioned TVA. Which is very big in North Alabama. Also, they needed infrastructure such as rail, and you have access to the Tennessee River there. That makes it easier to get products to and from ports and everything, and also available land. And so I believe that the CEO said yesterday when I talked to him that they looked at 45 different sites around the country, and Alabama kind of jumped out at them because it had proximity to all of these things that they need. Um, we have to remember that, as we said, the electric battery thing is not just an American phenomenon. It's much more pervasive in Europe, for example. China is ramping up their capability. So, and as Mercedes demonstrates, there's a worldwide market for this that is booming. So they've got to be able to meet that demand and meet it quickly.
Do we know how many jobs this is likely to bring to North Alabama?
That hasn't been announced yet. Now, as I said, the Department of Energy release mentioned hundreds of green jobs. Now, as I said, a lot of that grant money may also be meant for their operations in New York or West Virginia. But hundreds of jobs, we can imagine that if they're producing this many tons of synthetic graphite a year, they're going to need a lot of people. And that was one of the things that they mentioned why they targeted Colbert County was skilled labor. So they're looking to hire a lot of people probably.
Question here from a viewer here, Bill, and you might not know the answer off the top of your head, so I'm sorry to put you on the spot here. He says, where does the natural materials come from for these batteries? Are they coming from Alabama? Are they coming from the US?
Well, okay, so the project I mentioned earlier, the $202 million plant in South Alabama, they mine graphite, and Now, the project that we have been talking about in Colbert County talks about synthetic graphite, but it's a mineral, and you process it close to where it's being taken out of the earth. So that's that's a component for these lithium ion batteries.
Got a frog in my throat there. Had to mute there. Sorry for leaving you
Okay.
hanging there.
It's
Bill,
okay.
that's interesting. And is that something that again factored into the location for this company choosing Alabama?
I'm not sure if they, to be honest with you, synthetic graphite, and this is where I tell you bluntly that I don't even know how you make that. But I believe that the graphite mining operation in South Alabama is not related to this. And also, they probably also chose someplace in the southeast because of the obvious things that usually factor into this, like incentives, tax breaks, things like that.
Bill, I know this is going to be something to watch. Again, this is just the earliest stages of this announcement. We just got this news yesterday. I know a formal announcement there hasn't even come. So we will make sure to get you back, give us all of the information there. But thank you for sharing what you know now.
Thank you.
Bill, thank you. Everybody watching, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.